Hey, Eagle fans! Your Statesboro Walmart is your one-stop shop for all your Georgia Southern football and game day needs. Pick up your GSU sports gear here. We have t-shirts, hats, tote bags, koozies, stadium bleacher seats, car spirit flags, wall pennants, beads, and more right here at the best prices in town. Also, don't forget we can handle all of your tailgating needs with our great food trays, baked goods, and fresh, high-quality meat, seafood, and chicken.
Walmart. Save money. Live better. Walmart.
On this week's show, the Georgia Southern Eagles coming off a heartbreaking 1-point loss at NC State. How will they rebound? Well, they'll have Savannah State coming in for their home opener. We'll have previews and interviews and much more as we welcome you inside the Eagles Nest. And welcome inside the Eagles Nest. I'm your host, Josh Aubrey, being joined as always by Matt Yogus, the sports editor and Georgia Southern beat writer for the Statesboro Herald. Matt, the Georgia Southern Eagles came maybe about a yard away, if you want to say, from the touchdown that they fumbled, and then you may say they came 2 yards away from the first down that may have put the game on ice. Who knows? Regardless, they lose a 1-point game, but there were plenty of positives to take away from that NC State game this past Saturday.
Yeah, it was truly a game of inches, but to me that's the good news. The fact that we're talking about one play here, one play there. I mean, if you would have said Georgia Southern's going to come in, play their first game as an FBS program, and come within a point of being, beating an ACC team, I think a lot of people would have taken that. So, it's easy to be upset, and it's understandable that, man, you're so close in a game you probably should have won. But on the same note, like you said, so many positives to take from it, and really a good foundation to build on moving forward.
And one of the other good things that come out of it, although a lot of players dropped to the ground during the game, right now, pretty healthy team overall for Georgia Southern.
Yeah, you still got Trevor McBurnett kind of dealing with turf toe, but we saw Deion Stanley and Kevin Ellison leave the game, come back in. That was kind of concerning, but they appear to be okay moving forward. So, yeah, it's a hot day. People are cramping. It could have been a lot worse, and fortunately the Eagles, as you said, moving forward are pretty healthy going into Savannah State.
Another positive going forward is the special teams. Was been a little bit shaky, to say the least, over the past 3 or 4, well, maybe 3 years. This time around, Alex Hanks looks like he's got the kicking duties down, made 3 field goals, kicked everything into the end zone. Your thoughts on how special teams were?
I thought Ryan Nowicki was the punter because there was nobody else to do the job, but boy, he was unbelievable out there. He averaged over 50 yards a punt, and one of them was 37 yards.
Down to the one.
Yeah, you can't take away from that one because it was perfect. It got down at the 1 yard line, and then like you said, Hanks booming all 6 kickoffs into the end zone, made all 3 field goals, made both extra points. Georgia Southern's the kind of team that looks like they're going up against some evenly matched teams this year. They'll be in the fourth quarter in a lot of ball games, and having a kicking game like that, if it stays consistent, is going to be huge.
Quarterback situation, we thought we might see a little more of Fabian Upshaw. The way Coach has been talking, we probably will get to see a little bit more of Fabian Upshaw this week against Savannah State. Your thoughts on that position right there? Kevin Ellison looked pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's one of those good problem to have kind of situations because Ellison really did look good, but on the same token, you have Fabian Upshaw on the sideline not doing anything, and he showed it on the one run he had. He was a shoestring away from breaking it for a touchdown. He gets through the hole quicker than Ellison does, not to take away from what Ellison does running the football, but he's a guy you want to get out there on the field. So if you can find a way to get both of those guys involved in the offense, I think nothing but good things are going to happen.
Running back situation, we'd heard Matt Breida, we'd heard L.A. Ransby. Got a little bit more of Breida than we might have thought as far as the long touchdown run. Your thoughts on where the running backs are right now?
Well, I mean, you have L.A. Ramsby, who didn't put up the numbers. He averaged about 2.5 yards a carry, but those were tough yards he was getting up to the middle against a really good defensive line from NC State. So I was very surprised and pleased with the job L.A. Ramsby did out there. And then Breida, he's a lot tougher than I thought. We knew he had that breakaway speed. As I think everybody knew as soon as he hit that hole on that 61-yard run, he was gone. Nobody was going to catch him. But he's a lot tougher running between the tackles than I thought. So the running back situation, they could probably use a little more depth there. Maybe get a guy like Nardo Govan involved in the running game. But, they're in pretty good shape moving forward.
Defensively, the first half, you got to say, tip your hat. Played really well. There toward the fourth, things kind of fell apart, got a little tired. A lot of players on the defensive side started falling out. Your thoughts on where that is?
We knew depth on the defensive line was going to be an issue, and we also knew coming in Georgia Southern still, in that transition year is playing with fewer scholarships. So maybe you have to put a couple guys on defense onto special teams when you'd like to be able to use just special teams guys. But in order to keep up with an ACC special teams unit, you got to put some starters out there. Those are a few of the factors. Plus, NC State really turned up the volume on the speed of their offense, and Georgia Southern really at the end of the game combined the heat, the depth, the lack of scholarships, just could not keep up.
All right, we're not going to have that same problem this week. Savannah State comes in limping off a 61-6 loss to MTSU this past week. It was in a heavy downpour. Coach said he had trouble kind of figuring out how they'll look next week because of the fact that the rain played a big factor last week. But Savannah State has struggled a little bit against Georgia Southern, to say the least, the last few times they've met.
Yeah, to say the very least, they've struggled a little bit. You could definitely say that. But Georgia Southern, we've seen them struggle with running quarterbacks. Savannah State's got a pretty good one. They're going to run with the quarterback. Georgia Southern, top to bottom in the first half of that NC State game, they played the run well. The passing game just wasn't there. Did a great job. Got burned a few times. But obviously the level of talent against Savannah State isn't going to be there. It's going to be better than going against your defense over and over again, your offense over and over again. But I think Georgia Southern has the athletes that's going to make things real difficult on Savannah State.
All right, well, let's hear from the participants from the Savannah State side of things as well as Georgia Southern about this week's game at Paulson Stadium.
Well, I thought our kids, offensively, other than a few assignment busts, I thought we played, penalty free for the most part. One of our big goals is to have limited pre-snap penalties and post-play penalties. And for the whole game, all three phases, we had 0 post-play penalties and only had 3 penalties total. So I thought we played pretty clean. I was excited. Our kids battled. And then defensively, I thought we tackled well and played with leverage. And both our kicker and our punter played extremely well. So there was a lot of bright spots without question. Yeah, I sure hope we have a packed house. I would think we'd have Eagle Nation out in full support of their football team, irregardless of the fact that we have, the new facilities to show off, the upper deck, and our first game in a newly renovated Allen E. Paulson Stadium.
What's it going to be like for you hitting the field here for the first time?
I'm really excited about it. I've heard so much about it. The Eagle Walk, the bus ride, the chants during the game. So, I'm very excited having this opportunity to, lead the Eagles into action.
Savannah State, what do you know about them? What are you expecting Saturday?
Well, I'm learning more every day. We looked at them a little bit this summer, had some tape on them. They played the first week against Middle Tennessee in a monsoon. It was, rained the whole ball game. It was probably rained about as hard as any game I've ever watched before. I'm sure they also had first game jitters, long road trip for them, kind of like what we experienced last week. So, the second ball game of the year, there's still teams that do a lot of things differently. So we've got to expect the unexpected.
Honestly, we feel like we shouldn't have lost. We came out, we were prepared, we worked hard the whole summer, we worked hard the past couple of weeks, and we came out, we played a good ball game. We actually came out tough, came out strong. We executed our plays to a point, but the thing is, we didn't play GSU football. We actually just went out and played a good game. But so this week, we're just going to look at film, look at the good things, correct the bad things, and just improve and just go ahead and take it on to Savannah State.
Feeling like we need to improve a lot as a team. I feel like we had the chance to win the game. We just made too many mistakes, and I feel like we just make improvements and focus on Savannah State right now.
All right, you got Savannah State. You're also christening in the newly renovated stadium. You guys excited about the kind of crowd you might have Saturday?
Oh, yes, we're very excited. Georgia Southern fans are the best fans in the nation, so we're excited to get out there and give them a show.
They're a great football team, great coach, really good coach. So we're looking forward to playing them, and hopefully we can improve. Well, we know one thing, that they were going to run the options some way, somehow. And so, we got to see them run a little bit of power and a little bit of zone and some other type schemes. So we're familiar with it, and it should be helpful.
Slot back, ball middle of the field. Here's the snap, quick toss, McKinnon right side. Great block, gets him to the 10, to the 5. Put it Southern. Georgia Southern just beat Florida. Hey now.
Pretty exciting, even though the game on the field may not be that exciting.
I expect good attendance. Traditionally in the past, a lot of folks have shown up for the Savannah State game when it's the home opener. Savannah State will bring some folks. You know, it'll be a good atmosphere. I think back on what it would have been like had Georgia Southern beaten NC State. You'd think people are even more excited, but I think the excitement's going to be there, and I'm really just looking forward to seeing it, you know, in all the stuff you described and what it's going to be like.
Saturday, 6 o'clock kickoff at Paulson Stadium. That'll wrap things up for this week's Eagles Nest. For Matt Yogus, I'm Josh Aubrey. Thanks for joining us. Hope to see you again next week.